meeting to order, all please rise. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Police report.
Well, you have a copy of the police report in front of you with 16 total calls for the village.
Fire report.
Well, we had a total of 37 runs last month, 10 fires, 24 medicals, 3 PIs. Looks like one fire, or one false alarm up in Jamestown, and 2 medical runs in the village.
Thank you. County Commissioner.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
This last week, we, at our committee of the whole, we had a presentation by the Kiwanis Club of Lapeer. They're looking to raise $1.5 million to build an inclusive playground at Rowden Park for autistic children, children with disabilities or sensory issues. Very worthwhile cause. If you feel like you want to donate to that project or know a community organization that can donate, contact the Kiwanis Club. They'd love to talk to you about that. County clerk also reported to us on his first time early voting deal with the presidential primary. We had 1,787 early voters in the county, about 2% of the voting population. Oddly enough, there was a 28% increase in voting in a presidential primary. In 2020 it was 13.4%, this time it was 28%, so. And it cost $109,000 to the county just to do this early voting. It will be reimbursed by the state for this round, but the primary election in August and the general, they are not expecting reimbursement, so that is all on our counties and villages and townships to pay for those elections going forward. Some routine stuff. Court wanted to get a contract with Thomson Reuters West. It's a legal research piece of software. They feel that works better for them. It's fills their needs better than what they're currently using. So we approved them to go ahead and do that. Community Corrections had a request to get a new fingerprint machine. It's no longer supported, and if something goes wrong with it, we're going to be stuck without a machine. So we approved them to go ahead and get a new fingerprint machine that's paid for by the state. We don't have to pay for that, so why not? That's good. Approved the final Sheriff's Department contract for Metamora Township for 2024. We were a little late getting that to us this year. And we authorized the purchase of 13 bulletproof vests for the Sheriff's Department. As you may or may not be aware, they're bulletproof vests they wear. They do have an expiration on them, so they do periodically have to be replaced. So we've got that on a rotating cycle. And that's about all I've got this week. It's pretty light week. Thank you.
Thank you.
DDA.
Municipal Planning Commission.
Planning Commission.
We had nothing.
Well, I
He didn't miss me on purpose, I'll tell you.
No. Okay. Now we'll go to DDA.
Well, they were gonna have their proposed budget to us for this month's meeting, but I believe it is probably going back to their next month's meeting hash out a few things, so we will get it next month.
Little discrepancy in the figures now.
Yes.
And there was one bid brought in on a proposed pavilion. Just to start to do a little bit of checking on that, just pricing, feeling things out a little bit. Looking up on DDA, then attorney report, or is it all?
I do have something briefly I want to bring up. I know there was an issue that was brought up a few months ago regarding the interplay between governmental officials and social media accounts. There was a case in the Sixth Circuit that there was a circuit split between the Sixth Circuit and the Ninth Circuit, so the Supreme Court took that case. The Supreme Court has issued a ruling on that. We've got a short letter that I can pass around to you, kind of outlining some of that. I think the easiest way to say it, the Supreme Court, there were two theories on how to do this. The Supreme Court rejected the Ninth Circuit's approach on this. The rule that they said, so the rule is when a government official posts, so this is what the Supreme Court has said is the rule going forward. It says when a government official posts about job-related topics on social media, it can be difficult to tell whether the speech is official or private. We hold that the speech is attributable to the state only if the official, number one, possessed actual authority to speak on the state's behalf, and number two, purported to exercise that authority when he spoke on social media. So there has to be a clear designation of authority to the state authority to the individual, as well as the person is purporting to speak on behalf of the municipality at the time they're doing that. The court went out of its way to note that, look, as government officials have First Amendment rights to speak on things, even if this is something that is within the a comment or on a problem that a municipality is dealing with, or an issue that is involving the municipality. Just because you work for the government or are a government official does not mean you have no right to have your own opinion on that. Now, if a school board president comes out in a press conference and says the policy of the school board is going to be X, that fulfills both of those things and both of those categories, and clearly would be speech that is attributable to the state and with the various legal ramifications that come with that. By the same token, if someone is on their own private social media page and says, man, we need to vote for a county commissioner who's going to do something different, well, and I'm just picking on you because you happen to be here. Sorry.
Yeah, he showed up. Not Florida.
That's the type of thing that, that's not speaking, okay, you may be a governmental official, but you're not speaking on behalf of the government. You're not purporting to, you haven't been given authority by the government to speak on that issue, nor are you purporting to speak on behalf of the government for that issue. That's private speech, and that's something that would be regulated accordingly. So if there's questions about that going forward, we'd be happy to answer those. Bottom line, like I said, there was kind of a split in the circuits. The Ninth Circuit kind of took a much looser approach, basically kind of said, well, if it feels like governmental speech, and it was a really squishy definition, that was reversed and remanded. They said, no, that's not the test. Go back and handle it under the test we laid out in Freed. They remanded it back to the Sixth Circuit. They basically said, okay, this is the rules. We're going to send it back to the Sixth Circuit, and to the extent that you used something different, you need to relook at this, but go back, take a look at it, and see how this comes out under the terms of the test that we've sent back to you. So, like I say, my expectation is, going forward, there may be additional decisions from the Sixth Circuit or whatever, kind of fleshing that out or saying how those work in specific cases. But bottom line is the Supreme Court has taken a pretty strong stand here to indicate that just because you're a governmental official does not mean you have no First Amendment rights to speak, and has kind of answered the questions. So if there's more questions about that, we can discuss that further, but I know that's something that the council has had some questions about in the past. That decision came down within the last week or so, and we wanted to update you on what the state of the law is.
communications?
I have nothing.
Okay. Guess we'll move right along. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public time.
So to respond to what you were saying, I still will assert that I feel that Tina, as a government official, should not be the administrator of a Facebook group for this area's discussion, and she had blocked me from it, so I can't even see the area discussion here. I think that is probably very unlike those two cases. I haven't read them in a minute, and could be construed very differently. So, but in my opinion, you have violated my First Amendment rights. So I didn't have time to make those copies, but I'll give you the start. These are the complaints that I'm filing. So interesting that you don't have council communications, Tina, today. No, that's just for you, Tina. That's your pile. I'll give everybody theirs later. So in a month where there was actually quite a lot of Facebook chatter, right, about the village, about the sewage smell, didn't have any comments about that, about the state getting involved, from what I hear on social media about that. It would have been really nice to get an update. What'd you say?
Nothing, I said just don't believe everything you read on social media. We got the state
I know,
involved.
but that's why it would have been nice if you would address it.
And
Again,
when
it's been,
she addresses it,
All
what
right,
happens?
this
You've
is
got
a
the floor.
huge topic
Karen's got the
here
floor.
amongst folks. It very much affected our lives with that disgusting, awful sewage smell for weeks, okay? I also want to address really quick the water meters, right? So you sent out something in December. The program started in January, correct? And by February 19th, you're like, get it changed or we're shutting off your water. That's what you posted on social media, basically.
Yeah, I gave them until the
Succinctly.
first week of March.
Have you ever, and this is a rhetorical question, please stop interrupting me. Have you ever had a job where you traveled for months on end? Because I have. Do you know any snowbirds who live in this village? Because I do. Do you know, have you ever known someone to go through a time when their child's in the hospital and they just had absolutely no other bandwidth for maybe even months on end? Because that has happened to my family. For so many reasons, that is way too tight a timeline. Way too tight of a timeline. And I talked to folks because I knew my neighbor, who is a snowbird, was having trouble with her mail forwarding this year. And I said, hey, did you hear that if you don't get your meter changed, they're going to shut off your water? And it put her in a very stressful position. And then she tried calling the office here, and folks were on vacation, and no one was answering their phones for like a week. That seems really odd to me. Because even if someone goes on vacation, there's usually someone else to handle things in an office. Way too tight a timeline. Maybe at 6 months, maybe then you start giving people a deadline. But like 6 weeks, way too tight. And I don't know what county you live in that you thought smart meters were going to go over super smoothly with everybody. Because in this county for like years and years, I've been hearing about smart meters and people protesting them. And I have family members who pay extra every month to have their meter read because they refuse to have smart meters put in their home. So like that was never going to go that smoothly, but I just think it is unkind, that timeline. And I think that maybe you should think about other folks. So, yet again, I've addressed this before, the parking on the sidewalks, right? And we had a little interplay about this last meeting. Well, it used to be a parking lot. It's not anymore, okay? It's not. And I will pass out the law. Please take one and pass it down. It doesn't have to be not marked as not parking to not be legal. You cannot drive on sidewalks, and I've passed it out to you guys before. So here you go. This truck parked right there, really blocking the area for people to cross. 2 days in a row. And this day, I called the police, non-emergency line, and said, hey, there's a truck blocking it. Drove away, came back an hour later, it's still there. Easy problem to fix. Easy problem to fix. I'll get to the rest later. Thank you. Oh, you can take one of these and pass them down too.
Okay. Move on to unfinished business, I guess.
Can we just please leave roadside park restroom on as unfinished business? So we decide what we're
Water
gonna do.
main extension.
I think the council is aware there has been we're kind of stalled at this point. There's a difference of opinion as far as the amount of money that the village needs in order to be able to accept the risk of this. That has not changed. We did receive communication that the EPA wanted to have a meeting with our office. Mr. Denny did have a telephone conversation. I'm not sure if it was a conversation or a Zoom meeting. It may have been a Zoom meeting with the EPA and just kind of laid out the situation and laid out the village's position on this. They were understanding. I mean, it was a cordial conversation. The EPA indicated that they would like to be able to sit down and have a roundtable meeting of our office and the attorney for the settlement group and the EPA to see if we can have a conversation about this. Our position is we're always open to talking about things. That's not to say we're gonna roll over and just accept their position right off the bat, but we're always of the opinion that more communication is better than less communication. So the hope is that we will be able to put that together sometime early to mid-April. I don't know whether we will be able to do that before the April meeting. Ideally, we would be able to do so, but again, that's going to be a coordination of schedules between the attorney for the settlement group as well as our office and the EPA. So we will let you know more when we get that, but that's kind of where we're at right now. But the settlement group has not changed their position on where they're at in this since last month.
So is the EPA just trying to mediate it?
They're trying to facilitate and just see if, okay, let's see if we can have both sides talk about it right now. Will that change in the future? I don't know, but where they're at right now is they want to see if there's a way to, get both sides sitting down at a table and let's have a conversation about this. Let's see if there's some way to address these concerns.
So I've never refused any kind of sit down and try and.
Absolutely. Our position is always that communication is good. So we've been pretty plain spoken in speaking to the settlement attorney or settlement group attorney as to what the village's position is. Mr. Denny was pretty forthright with the EPA representatives today. We'll see what happens when we have a meeting and all sit down together. So and again, whether that'll be over Zoom or telephone, probably won't be in person. I suspect it'll be electronic communication somehow, but we'll keep you informed as to when we're able to get that set up. Again, ideally it would be before the April meeting, but I can't promise that that's gonna work that way.
That's all you got?
That's it for me,
Okay.
unless somebody has questions for me.
All right, we'll move along to new business. Nothing.
Nothing.
So, guess we go right back to another public time. See another one. Gentleman walked in.
I'm Dennis McCarthy. I own the building right over here. Some of you guys know me, but I'm running for probate judge, and wanted everybody to know that. And I got some petitions. Some of you have signed it already, but I have some that here in case you haven't signed it. So I need 400 signatures by April 23rd. So far, there's nobody running against me, so that's a good thing. But I got to get the signatures to get on the ballot. So, thanks.
So I wanted to let you know and show you this, that I filed a joint complaint, same complaint with the township and the village about what I brought up last month. And you guys told me there are no fire extinguishers during the concerts in the park, which is just appalling to someone who has worked in events. You can't even understand how appalling that is, having been through many fire marshal inspections that we would not have been able to operate under those conditions, and they would have told us to get out of town, actually. So Tina already has this one, but you guys can pass that around. Now let's talk actually a little bit more about the water. So I just hope we all keep in mind, again, as this issue comes up, that we are next all right? And I have asked that, I've asked, is there a backup plan for our water if that plume spreads out there, right? Nothing, I guess. I asked, can we get some kind of backup plan in place? Like, can we contact the Great Lakes Water Authority, see how long it would take to hook up to that? Or my sister, the geologist, said, hey, maybe you guys buy some land and get wells a ways out and pump that water in, whatever. I would just like to see a plan. Because I don't know if you guys really understand it. I don't know that I fully do, but I have listened in on the EPA meetings that they've had and that type of thing. And I think we need, if we haven't had an expert gauge the risk to our municipal water from that pile right over there, I think we need that. I would certainly like to have that. Because again, I asked my sister, the geologist, and she said, did you know that our cousin she got her PhD in hydrology? So I'm going to contact her this month and see what she thinks about it. But I was listening to the radio and they were talking about this plume near Ann Arbor. Gelman Sciences near Ann Arbor left a mess there. They're not even on the Superfund list. They are applying to go on the Superfund list, but they are not yet. We are on the Superfund list, right? Their plume is 1 mile by 4 miles. 1 mile by 4 miles, and no one can dig wells there. They all have to be on municipal water. Gosh, I think we should be thinking ahead, because that mess out there, who knows? So let's talk a little bit about the park. This is one, gosh, I wish I'd had time to print one for all of you, but I didn't. So last month, and I transcribed the comments from my audio recording of comments folks made back about the park. We haven't put up signs yet because we don't have a name. Well, there's a name used in a lot of this stuff, and guess what? You can put up a temporary name and you can change it later. But that would open up the park that's been there for 10 years and 8 months. Oh, but it's not deeded as a park. Well, let's read the information from the deed. It is set aside for that, and there were people working on that for years beforehand trying to get a 40-acre park because this area doesn't have enough recreation. So I went through and I detailed some of those things. And I am just appalled that anyone could sit up here and not think, gosh, we got to get that open so people can use it. Because we have people here who want recreation. It is good for the community. Again, it's a $350,000 asset at purchase. 10 years and 8 months, and we can't put a sign up. Doesn't matter that there's no pavilion. There are trails. Janet's been out there on the trails. I've seen the Clarks out on golf carts out there. So are we, what is the purpose in keeping this quiet? All we need is the piece of land that is there. Again, there are trails. There is this space for people to use. You guys are like, well, we don't have a name. We don't have a pavilion. I think those are really, really silly excuses. And I find it really offensive that anyone would make them. Thank you.
Thank you. Public time. I'll entertain one more motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second.
And moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight.